Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. Learn Nick, and joining me via Zoom because we ran out of time to do this in person.
We did. Unfortunately, it's me again. Sorry, guys. You have to listen to this again.
We have Kenn Klarich of Ash and Ale Lounge in Palm Coast, Florida, and we're here to detail the second half of my trip.
We are. It was a fun half.
It was. The whole trip as a whole.
I was going to say, there wasn't a bad time really to be had for your trip. You had a great time.
Not really. And, it's one of those things, when you travel, you never want to go back to reality. You just don't.
You really don't.
But, you suck it up like an adult and you go back to reality. This one's been a lot harder.
Really?
Dude, I have had I don't want to say like mourning, but it's almost been like a sense of mourning having to come back to reality this time.
Wow.
I had a really good trip, and I was not ready for that to end.
Well, the invitation's always there. If you'd like to come back, please.
I get it, man, but I got commitments here that unfortunately prevent me from moving. But we'll be back. We'll be back.
And all my guys, all my members, and everyone who met you said they had a great time with you. Said they opened you up with open arms.
No, we'll be back. But first, it's All Saints Day. Not really. On the podcast, it is. The real All Saints Day is what? Wednesday. Wednesday. It's this upcoming Wednesday.
That's tomorrow. As we're recording.
Well, no. It'll be a week from tomorrow as we're recording.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't realize that was All Saints Day. Okay.
November 1st. So it's all Hallows Eve.
I'm Jewish, dude.
Oh, well, okay then. Never mind. See, so this is my little scam here, man. I went to Catholic high school.
Me too, and junior high.
And I'm not Catholic.
But me either.
So okay. So you understand there's Halloween.
I got kicked out of mass every week.
So there's Halloween. And then there's All Saints Day on November 1st.
That's true.
And
I totally forgot about that.
I loved rubbing in to my friends from junior high school that all had to go to public high school that next day. Day after Halloween, I got that off. They never understood. And to be honest, I didn't care. But
exactly.
It was one of those things. But anyway, like I said, it's All Saints Day. So here on the pulpit, not in reality. And so we are smoking some All Saints cigars.
We are.
I have mine.
You already have yours out of the wrapper.
Yes. I mean, you gotta prep.
I apologize. I am not prepped yet. I apologize.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. What does this sound?
I knew it. I knew that's where you were going with it. The minute you're like, you have it out of the wrapper, I'm like, I know exactly where he's going.
Okay, now it's out of the wrapper.
So I have the Dedication in the miter size, which is the kind of stubby torpedo.
Yep. And I have the same thing, but I have it in Habano.
Okay. So we're not same blend, but similar-ish. Similar-ish. I
have to step away. I have to find an ashtray. Someone moved my ashtray.
Oh my God.
I hate when that happens.
Don't you hate it when somebody moves your ashtray?
Good Lord.
Well, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and prep. Okay then. I'm going to prep to cut my cigar. And the official cutting is brought to you by Dan the Man Ponder at Riverman Cigar Company. And guys, in terms of All Saints cigars, Dan the Man Ponder at Riverman Cigar Company, he's got you covered. He's got a full line of All Saints cigars over there. So if you're wanting to try either the Dedication or the Dedication in the Habano, he's got you covered. And he's also got the St. Francis and all the various other All Saints cigars over there. And he also has other good cigars. For example, I know he got in his shipment of the Aladino Sumatras. They did arrive. I still need to get over there to get myself a couple. Haven't done that yet.
I haven't even got my email yet that they're shipping.
Oh, Trey Mac, buddy. Get on
Trey,
that.
I'm calling tomorrow, Trey.
So anyway, guys, if you're in the St. Louis area, swing on by Dan the Man Ponder's place. He's got all kinds of great cigars for you and a nice, comfortable lounge for you to chill out in. And if you're not in the St. Louis area, he does mail order, so you can still support a brick and mortar shop by giving him a call and placing an order. It's Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. There you go.
I don't know if you can hear mine, but
I caught it. I'm going to do a straight cut. I'm doing it at a slight angle. I never take off enough on this thing. Yeah. All right. We're going to follow that up with a V cut because okay.
What are you
there's
getting?
A draw. There's a draw. Okay. Admittedly, this is my newspaper layout day. I'm done. So I don't have any more work to do after we're done recording or anything.
Wow.
But I have been smoking cigars pretty much all day long as I've been doing my layout. And so right now I'm getting a little, maybe slight hint of cocoa, and otherwise I'm getting cigar because I've had a few cigars today.
They're on mine on the Habano. I am actually getting some sweetness. I'm getting a little bit of leather.
Mm-hmm.
That sweetness again is going back to that dried fruits going to almost cran.
So I was just about to say cocoa and a little dried fruit.
So I mean, this is the trend we've been on for our last 3 shows.
It is, and the thing is, with this cigar, if I'm correct, the only difference between our cigars is the wrapper.
It is.
So that might explain why I'm getting the cocoa, because my wrapper is a much darker wrapper than yours. But it might explain why we're both getting the dried fruit, and yet we're getting some other slight variances.
Interesting. So
we'll go ahead and fire this guy up, get this going. So where did we leave off? We left off with Renee from Villiger.
We did.
And
that was a great conversation.
Oh, it really was. I had such a great time linking up with Renee there. He's such a great guy. And if you guys missed that, that's in Tuesday's show. So, or also entitled The Ash and Ale Visit, Part 1. So, trying to get this thing lit sometime with a microphone next to your mouth.
You should switch the sides of your holding. There you go.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm right-handed, so I use the lighter with the right hand, hold with the left. There's never a good place for the microphone during the lighting process.
You need wireless earbuds, Bluetooth earbuds.
I could try that. I don't know how that would work with my board. I don't think my board has my Bluetooth. There are boards that do have Bluetooth though, and I've looked at that, but that requires buying a whole new board. And why buy a whole new board when the board I've got works just fine?
No reason at all.
So anyway, not today. Maybe someday. Have a few nickels to rub together and get some toys to play with. Anyway, so we left off with our conversation from Renee. Now, as I was finishing up the conversation with Renee, who comes strolling up to Ash and Ale but Micky Pegg of All Saints Cigars.
All Saints, and with his brand new rep for the whole Florida region. So that was very nice. And they did an event with us that evening and had a great time and learned a lot. And we'll be going over that this show.
We will. So, the rep, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Michael. So Michael was very, very pleasant to interact with.
It was his first day actually on the job in his own territory. He had done 2 weeks earlier prior training with 2 other reps in different areas, but this was his first day on the job in his home territory.
Wow, look at that. And having training, no less. That's not something I hear from a lot of reps. They just kind of get tossed in and it's like, figure it out, so that's kind of nice.
I think Mickey's a little more steadfast, and with the training with his sales force, since that's the end that he takes care of, I believe he's very, very polished on that because he wants it done a very specific way.
That
That's
makes
how
sense.
that's how I got it. So,
No, that
but
makes a lot of sense.
it was interesting listening to the two of them talk back and forth. It sounded like Michael had some experience already, so it was good. It wasn't a total training; it was more of an experience, and this is how I want it done. Thing.
I see. I see. Well, I mean, aside from promoting the All Saints cigars, Michael was signing everybody up for the McAuliffe Ambassador
Yes,
program too.
yes, he was,
So
which
there were
seemed to be a big hit.
quite a few challenge coins being given out. I still need to track mine down. Mine's in my house somewhere, and I wanted to do that so that I could brag about the low number that I have on my coin, which, you know, granted, it's been around for a number of years since I signed up, but nonetheless,
What number are you?
I don't know. That's the thing. I
Oh,
got to find the coin. Once I find the coin, I can tell you, but it's definitely a lot lower than some of the numbers that were being thrown around at your place.
yeah, they were in the thousands at this point. 224, 26, 3600. But two of the guys got 360 and one got like 760.
What?
Yeah, there were some 3-digit ones there. So
Hmm.
it was interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder how that came about.
Well, I'm sure they're just in a bucket and they just take handfuls.
I'm sure that's exactly it, but I just want to know because
You're not having
theoretically
an
that
easy
means
time with that one, there are you?
I got one little spot that just needed to be caught up with the rest of it, as it was going. But anyway, so yeah, so now it was a nice event. It was good to catch up with Mickey and talk to him, and we'll get to that interview in a bit. But he was he was also committed. Aside from your event, he was doing another podcast that I ended up crashing briefly
Yes, you did.
while taking a picture, and so I thought that was amusing. That I ended up crashing another show. So the Micky Pegg event, resulted in him on two different shows before it was all said and done.
You too.
That's what I'm saying. Me and him, and me and this
That's
other show.
crazy.
It was crazy. It was really bizarre, but anyway, but no, I mean, Mickey, he's how do I put that? There are different personality types that you encounter throughout, the industry, and
Yeah,
he and Renee, very different
very different.
approach and everything. But I still feel like your guys, your members and everybody, they got different things and enjoyed interacting with them both in different ways.
Definitely. I think you're right. I think that even when with the third person that happened to be there with us, Michael, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
talking about two totally opposite ends of the spectrum with Mickey and Michael,
Yeah,
both very professional in their own ways, but just the personalities are so vastly different.
for
And
sure.
that it was great to see that the guys who were there who came and supported us had such a good time with all three of them. So we actually had a fourth person show up during while you were there.
Yeah, we
Eloy,
did. We
yeah,
did.
Eloy from Southern Classic Cigars showed
Uh-huh.
up, and you got to meet him.
I did, and I got to smoke
So
we
the
covered it on the
Dujo,
last one. Nope,
oh
nope. It was
Kobe, the Kobe,
the Kobe,
yeah,
yes. And that was a good cigar. I want to get him
yeah,
on.
yeah. I think
Um
you've got his information. I sent that to you, I believe. I'll check back. I
did
may
you?
not
I
have.
don't know if you
I think I was
did.
supposed to. I don't know if I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm still like playing catch up through emails and stuff like that. So if you did, then I must have missed it, but that's okay.
Oh,
Neither here
I'll
nor
get
there.
it to you.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, you gave me one of the anniversary cigars that he
Yep.
makes. And so, I think that would be a fine smoke to have on the show with him at some point.
That's a really nice smoke for the price
For
point. That's a very nice smoke.
I'm looking forward to it.
So
But well, now you know what we've teased, the Micky Pegg interview quite a bit. Why don't we go ahead and jump to the Micky Pegg interview now, and then from there we can come back, talk about the rest of the trip and everything like that.
sounds great.
Perfect. All right,
Sounds
guys, we'll be right back after the interview. So, guys, we're joined by Micky Pegg of All Saints Cigars. How you doing, Mickey?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good. It's good to see you again.
I know. The last time we had these things on, I was cooped in a humidor. Now we've got all this beautiful open air.
I know, right?
Beautiful Leslie over here. The sun's shining like an angel. Very angelic.
You know, I try.
I love it.
I try to give you the best recording experience I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we can talk about it over and over again.
hey, I'm not the one that's hearing the story all the time. You're the one that's constantly calling me up saying, I heard the story again.
What story?
The cab.
Oh, the cab, yeah.
It's like every time you call me up, you're like, somebody mentioned that story again. So,
no, I'm just kidding.
Anyway. So there's been big developments with All Saints Cigars since you were last on. So let's get into that. You have a partnership, strategic partnership?
Yeah, it's go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, with McAuliffe Cigars.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the Fuente J.C. Newman. You have one sales force that are selling two different portfolios and two different invoices that go out to the retailer. The only difference is everybody's heard of Fuente and J.C. Newman.
Yeah. Well, but see, yes, you guys are both, no disrespect, smaller in scale than Fuente and Newman. But together, you guys can at least work together and build your brands up, that way.
Yeah, so, it's a great relationship. Yeah. And we're each one of us are filling a void that the other side didn't have.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of similarities. They're both cigars. Both portfolios have cigars.
Yeah.
But, there's some of the differences. One's a box press, one's primarily round, different price points and all that. So they complement each other. It's almost like an upside-down broker. Like a true broker does a really good job of putting his portfolio together. He's going to have different countries. He's going to have different flavor profiles and different price profiles, right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, it's a little bit like that.
Okay. So then in terms...
Except it's a direct sales force, and they get up and go to work. Because if they don't,
they don't get paid.
Yeah. Well, they do.
They eventually get fired, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
There's HR now.
So that's my question then, and I don't know if you want to get into the specifics of it, and we don't have to, but you said we both had different needs that we needed to fill, and by doing this, can you get into what maybe some of those needs were and kind of how you guys complement each other?
Well, they needed somebody that was striking, good-looking to be the face of the company. No. It was a couple things. We had a couple conversations, and one of the things I always loved about this business, getting in 1989 as a part-time sales rep at Georgetown Tobacco, was how everybody gets along. I think that's absolutely there's a lot of us. There's a couple jerks out there, but, who cares? You just kind of move on.
For sure.
And, what happened was we had a conversation, and he asked me some questions, and I answered him, and I thought
meaning?
Dan Thompson.
Dan Thompson, okay.
So Dan Thompson really is at point with Amanda McAuliffe, Mr. McAuliffe's daughter, running that company.
Yeah.
So that was a big opportunity, and I saved him a couple headaches, and then I started, well, let me tell you what I need.
Yeah.
And I said, I need a sales force. And that was it.
And they had that.
They had that, and they're like, well, I don't think anybody's ever done this in the industry. I'm like, yeah, well, it has been done. So, the format's a little bit different. As you know, J.C. Newman and Fuente have some back-of-the-house kind of things that they work together.
One makes one for one. And
yeah. So, but other than that, I think it's one of the greatest things that could have happened to our company. And for me, being on my fourth sales force, and I actually own the company, All Saints.
Yeah.
So me and Frank still own All Saints.
Okay.
But I'm the president of sales for McAuliffe.
Okay.
And that's the unified sales force.
Okay.
So what you're going to see, our website's getting back up to speed. You'll see the same guys and girls on their website, and my website is the sales force.
I see.
So you have to keep some of your own identity. I'm not going to do any blending in that factory. I'm going to stick to the Tabacusa. Will we do something crafty and fun? Absolutely. We'd be insane not that something's going to happen there.
Play around a little bit every once in a while, but maybe not.
I know you like to play around.
And we'll get to that later.
My diamonds are getting perky. So, No, but so it's just, and I drive Dan Thompson crazy. He's got these beautiful locks of hair. We're trying to do a serious interview, and I'm like, look at his hair. I'm the bald guy.
He's got the mane. Yeah, he's got the hair for both of you.
Yeah. Beautiful locks of hair. So, from that standpoint, it's very fortunate. Right now, we're still in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
But it's also we're skinning our knees on a couple things, but that's part of the growth, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, you got to get to know each other a little bit better, and
absolutely.
Yeah. So even though it is early in this whole relationship,
she's still hot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Are there any metrics of growth that you've hit that you wanted to?
Yeah, the KPI. I guess in the textbook world we call them KPIs.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks we just show up and smoke cigars and whatever. There's, for me, there's a lot going on because one of the values I think that I was identified adding to the McAuliffe, their side of what I bring to the table, it was the sales acumen and working with the sales guys and creating a full sales force that is capable of growth.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just to show up, take an order, slap on the ass, and go. We have to build the brand. There's a lot of things, you have sales organizations that do a great job of maintaining the brand. By maintaining the brand, there is natural growth because they do such a good job of maintaining.
Relationship building.
Right. So maintaining sounds not so good, but there's certain brands out there that we all know that maintenance is a critical piece of that growth.
For sure.
Right? So, of course, maintenance is critical for everybody, but for us, we have to get on the shelves. You can't put the maintenance or the garage or wherever you get your stuff fixed unless you got an automobile, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
Okay. Now, in terms of before this partnership happened, and I don't know if you want to get into this or if you can, I'm just going to ask questions.
Yeah, just ask questions.
What was the crossover between All Saints and McAuliffe? Like, were you guys in a lot of the same shops to where now it's easier for maintenance there? Or is it one of those things where, like, there were a number that had All Saints, a number that had McAuliffe, but there were very few in the middle?
Yeah, I could definitely answer that. So, first of all, we're not at a maintenance level company.
Yeah.
I'm giddy with anticipation.
Yeah.
That we have that type of sales force. I really do. You're always growing, maintenance, but you spend a lot more time on maintenance than you do growth. My thing is, we had an opportunity here. So I'd gotten us to about X amount of accounts.
Okay.
And their Y amount of accounts were about the same.
Okay.
The Z amount of accounts were the accounts that we had crossover. That percentage was extremely low.
That's good.
We were going in this direction. We said, all right, when we start talking about this, let's start picking into this. And, me a little bit, Frank and Dan Thompson and Amanda, she really kind of takes more of that, wears that marketing hat for the family. Well, for McAuliffe, not so much J. I don't know what she does at JMac.
Okay. But
I get Amanda's, I get her undivided attention when we talk. So I don't know if she has to work at, which that's the big driving force.
That's everything. Yeah. But the cigars, she's very involved.
So we didn't have that much crossover.
That's good. That's nothing but opportunity
and the crossovers
there, theoretically.
Were like Abe.
Okay.
Dave Garofalo.
I was.
And then we looked at the way we ran those companies, like, somebody's going to be pissed that we got together because there's a little bit, different in the margins and stuff like that.
Oh, so, for sure.
That made it even sexier. So yeah.
Well, good. No, that's nothing but growth opportunity, just right there. Yeah. And then on top of it, then going out and hitting other shops and saying, hey, I now have these two brands. They're great. This is what one offers, is what the other offers.
Well, what it works on is leverage, right?
Yeah.
Positive leverage.
Yeah.
Leveraging opportunities, not leveraging the retailer. You never want to leverage the retailer.
Yeah.
You never want to control the retailer. You want to manage the process, right? You don't ever want to control anything. It doesn't work.
That's
There's a natural
in
reaction to the action, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, that's where that you can go in and there could be totally synergistic between both brands. Mm-hmm. We had a situation in a certain place where one rep from one side went in that owner did not like that company from that particular rep. But when that rep got the other company in their portfolio, you can come in and talk about that portfolio all day long.
Oh, okay.
So, and I thought that was, and it made me think a little bit. I'm like, okay, so they get to wear almost 3 hats.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's too many. They can go in as All Saints, they can go in as McAuliffe, or they can go in as the unified sales force that are selling both portfolios.
Yeah.
And we're not doing any bullying with the, with the retailers. You got to, if you want this from McAuliffe, you got to buy this from All Saints or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's not even happening.
Well, I don't think that would be beneficial for you guys.
Well, there's
brands.
a lot of companies that traditionally will do that stuff.
I get it, but
there's
I'm
a very famous one that I work for that does it all day long.
Well, but you get
they
what I'm
own
saying.
them all, yeah.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. I don't see how that's beneficial, though.
No.
For you guys as a company, especially, again, given your size, why would you?
Oh, thank you. 6'5", 290. Easy on the eyes, hard on the thighs. There you go.
You get what I mean? Like, why would you want to go in and essentially bully somebody?
No, I never liked that. So a retailer puts their life and soul. They might be making mistakes. If you can constructively talk to them and they will listen to help them navigate some of the mistakes they're making, that's fine. But to bull-faced bully a person into doing stuff, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Well, and again, it all comes down to relationships in that you guys, as the sales force, you have to have a good, positive relationship with that retailer. And let's be real, I mean, I'm not going to name any names. I'm not telling you. You definitely shouldn't name any names. But some of these retailers, all it takes is one little thing. And if somebody gets bent out of shape, I mean, that could cause issues.
I can tell you right now.
Down the road.
Today I was handling a call. We got put in a bin.
Yeah.
And I still can't figure out why they put it in the bin. It was not because the cigar wasn't selling.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not flying off the shelf. It was doing good.
Yeah.
But something happened. Somebody in my organization, when I say my organization, I'm trying to use my word tracks a little bit better. Somebody specifically from the All Saints portfolio did something to this guy. I don't know who it is.
And all of a sudden, now you're in the bin.
Now we're in the bin. So not responding, and that happens.
Yeah.
It could have been a misunderstanding. I could have said something. It could. I don't know if it's me or not. Could have been me. I don't know. But it's not here to point fingers. But it's here to say that you have to be respectful of them and their personalities, and sometimes they can be a little tough.
Yeah.
But also, I think that sometimes that's some of the best opportunities. When I was at Davidoff, or CAO, I should say, somebody said, that retailer, he's a real fucking asshole. I go, give me his number. Because everybody's called this guy an asshole. I'm like, well, he's got to connect with somebody sooner or later.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're giving me an opportunity to go get something on that shelf.
Well, yeah, because let's be real. All these other reps are hearing this guy's an asshole. So
if everything was black and white, if everything was easy, I just had this conversation with one of my great up-and-coming reps. And, he's so black and white. And I said, if everything was fucking black and white, we wouldn't have salespeople. We're here to help you navigate this map.
Yeah.
So, and strike out opportunities that's beneficial without whoring out the brand, the company, or compromising your integrity or putting the retailer in a bad position of the way they feel.
Interesting. All right.
Now, so what I will tell you is the most important person, I've always said this goes back, you can ask John Huber and all these people that are out in the industry that we all work together at one point.
Yeah.
The most important person in this entire operation is the consumer, right? But you definitely have to understand the complexities of the conduit of which gets there, and that's usually your brick and mortar retailer.
That makes perfect sense.
No, there's other types of. You got the Abe's, you got the Garofalo's, you have whatever.
Yeah.
But
those
when you're building a company in this industry in a highly competitive market, you have to respect that. Because they're not. A lot of retailers. We were talking about brand building, in the green room, and that's kind of funny.
I have a green room.
He's got a green room. He's got green wax in his ears.
Hey.
No, but talking about brand builders.
Yeah.
There are some out there that exist. I mean, we were talking about Cigar Hustler.
Yeah.
They're a great brand builder out there. They put you through the ropes before you get in there, rightly so. Sometimes the harder it is to get in the shop, the longer you stay there and the bigger you get, right? So, might not be brand builders, but they can be a brand destroyer or herder. Or I'm at a loss of word, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
The opposite can be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and see, to your point, you were talking about that these consumers are hearing things from their brick and mortar.
Right. And brick and mortar sometimes is bullshit because they didn't pay their bills, they do something else, and then we turn into MFers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's my point, is that it goes back to relationships again, in that if you have something going on with that retailer, then obviously they're going to be, spitting flames at you to their customers. But on the flip side, you mentioned that maybe not the big guys like Abe and Garofalo, but I would actually argue that they have a lot of influence over their consumers because they are, let's be real.
They're very interactive.
For sure. And the Garofalo customers, I don't know. I'm sure Dave would have something to say about this, but I get the overwhelming impression he has a lot of very loyal customers that listen to what he has to say.
Or his team.
And thus, you're getting that information out one way or the other through them. So, So, no, that's interesting. Good. So, in terms of All Saints,
yes,
what's going on there? What do you got new? What do you got going on?
Well,
you're all over the damn place.
We just partnered with Macau.
Well, I know. We talked about that.
No, so it's exciting. Today is whatever day it is.
The 18th.
The 18th. So we're right in the midst of our anniversary tour right now. Yeah. I got to look. So we're celebrating our 4th anniversary is November 1st, All Saints Day.
Yep.
And you've got to remember that first year we were behind a curtain. One of the best cigar kind of years in a long time.
Yeah.
I was still behind the curtain. So my company, the All Saints brand, was.
Yeah.
So I think we made a lot of progress. And I think, having this chance to work with this direct sales force is a blessing. If you look at it from the standpoint that if you look at Davidoff when they came to the United States, they were a broker program. It took about 7 to 8 years to transition into a direct program. You look at Rocky, that was 7 to 8 years. Anything that has good organic growth and sustainability, it's CAO, 7 to 8 years by the time you get a purely direct sales force.
Yeah.
So for us to have access to a sales force that we haven't even hit our 4th anniversary in 1 year, that was behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I think we're on a great pace. We were just getting to the point, and when I say we, the All Saints side, was getting to the point where it was hard to keep up with what was going on the shelves. So, if you look at Arizona, we're not in Arizona.
Yeah.
And Arizona is a very good cigar state, as we all know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have anybody out there to represent it. I don't want to go out there and get on the shelf and lose momentum and then not sell it twice. It's hard enough to sell it the first time.
Yeah, and then to have to go back and be like, hey, sorry this took place. We promise we'll do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
Checks in the mail.
So do you have, I don't know, well, not anymore, obviously, but at the time, did you have in-house people making calls, or were
no.
For example, Arizona, anybody out there that had it, they reached out to you to get it.
We are right now,
or at trade shows.
So right now we're looking for a Mid-Atlantic rep right now.
Yeah.
We are also looking for an in-house salesperson to support the sales organization. So for inside sales, a lot of that's going to be hitting Netherlands states that nobody's attached to, also supporting reps that have territories that some places are a little bit harder to get to. So, which is exciting to me. So,
no, that's great. And then the Solamente. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. The first one was kind of an accident while we were waiting for the regular production to come out. So we did it again. We call it Solamente 23. It doesn't say 23 on the box, but we put 23 cigars in there.
Oh, okay.
Because it's 2023.
Yeah.
Same blend, different vintages on the tobacco that we did before. The wrapper came out a little darker than the time before. Still an Ecuadorian wrapper. So yeah, it's doing very well. So
Good.
and that's kind of the focal point or the big horse that we're kind of showing.
Yeah.
On this anniversary tour. The biggest thing about that is we only did 500 boxes, and everybody says, "Oh, we're not an LE company. We're not a limited edition.
Yeah.
This is our second limited edition. Now we did some private projects like the Firecracker with United.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit different than having an LE that you take to market.
Yeah.
That Firecracker is not an LE for us. It could be considered a limited edition, but it was a limited edition for United. We essentially made it for United, and they did the distribution and
That was all of them at that point.
It came in country and went right up to their warehouse, and then Ollie and his team determined, how that was going out to market with their prerequisites that they have.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then, in terms of All Saints, and I guess McAuliffe too. Now that we're talking about it, one of the things that I'm very curious about, and we in the green room touched on it, but the trade shows next year.
Yes.
Do you want to get into that, or do you want to avoid?
No. So let's start with the PCA, RTD, PCA.
Yeah.
We are. It's been finalized or not that our booths are going to be combined.
Okay.
So All Saints will have their own identity within there, and then the McAuliffe will have their own identity in there. So that's going on. If it's not, we're not together. It's not because we didn't want it that way.
Yeah.
It's just the floor arrangements were decided upon before we felt comfortable announcing our relationship.
Okay.
As for TPE, right now All Saints will be there. I've not had a conversation with the McAuliffe side about their thought of participation in it as at this point, so we're going to pick that up. We've had so many moving parts up to this point. And, also most of our conversations have been about, the close future, the medium future is about how we and what we are taking the market in March.
Okay.
For the PCA.
Well, and that was my question. I talked to Renee from Villiger about it earlier. It's like, how did that kind of screw with your schedule with them pushing up to March? Because, it
didn't screw with us for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One is we have a shorter runway on getting something to the market, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that was a rumor, I go, guys, we're going to be behind in July, and just the nature of it. Let's try to move this production schedule and this actuation schedule to March. So we did that. And we only have one, two, maybe 3 projects coming out.
Yeah.
When I say project, one is a line extension, a very unique line extension we have. One is a whole new cigar blend line. And the third one, we'll see what that is.
Okay.
So nothing really extensive.
So nothing really.
We're proud of what we're bringing to market. A little bit of sizzle, but yeah. So,
now the other conversation that I've been having with Ken here at Ash and Ale the last 2 days,
right.
And forgive my ignorance, but McAuliffe and All Saints, are you guys overseas or are you just United States at this point?
And that's another thing that we actually we need to get on that, and it's very tough to do that when we're trying to expand the United States, but it's something we got to grab that market share too. And one could argue, and I know who that one person is in the entire organization, that this boat's going to ship really fucking quickly.
Yes.
Because I've already seen brand equity of brands that have gone over to that market and captured that pieces of that market because of that void that's there from the Cuban market.
Yes.
And it's resonating back to the United States.
Okay.
I'll tell you one offline that it's just, I almost promise you I know it's from their European presence.
Interesting. Well, because that's what Ken and I have been talking about here just privately is, you see some of these bigger, well-known cigar personalities over, you log into Instagram or whatever, you're going to see the pictures if you follow these guys. And my listeners, they probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name names, but you can make the argument that given the void of the Cuban cigars over there and now this rise of the New World cigars, that, when you have a guy like Carlito or Rocky, I didn't. I
They've
said
been over there. They've been over there for a while.
over there. Yeah, true. But they're building up the space now that the Cubans have kind of gone.
Carlito been doing that a long, long time.
I guess my question is there a bigger upside for a smaller company to go over
absolutely.
there? Because let's be real. If
And
Rocky goes over there and he gets,
everybody's new over there, except for the big boys.
That's exactly my point.
So
the consumer over there doesn't necessarily know the difference between a Fuente and an All Saints. And
they'll know Fuente. They'll know
okay.
Rocky.
You see my point?
Absolutely.
It's more of a level playing field in some of these areas over there versus here in the States where
I think it could be a great force multiplier for the growth of a brand, especially a young brand.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on point then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
No. I have this conversation all the time.
Okay.
Usually with myself because nobody else will listen.
Well, I was curious about it, so I'm.
I believe it 1,000%.
I'm listening. You can talk. So, yeah.
Come on. You want to snuggle? Spoony?
You
like to spoon?
I do like to spoon.
Are you inside or outside spoon?
I'm typically big spoon.
You're big spoon?
Yeah.
Spooner. I love you, Spooner.
Spooner.
What's up, Spooner?
Okay. So yeah. So I'm not. I don't know. It was.
Yeah,
one
you're
of those,
spot on.
Okay. I was just wondering. So then, to your point, then it's important then for you guys to figure out a plan to get over to Europe and that area.
Right.
Okay. I didn't know if you were at Intertabac or any of that. So
no, I used to go.
Yeah.
I didn't go this year or the last year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Mickey.
Yes.
We're at an event here at Ashenale, and I'm taking up your time, and so
no, not at all.
I don't want to take up any more of your time unless you have more to talk about.
No.
But okay.
I got plenty to talk about.
Well, yeah. But you haven't. We got to get a few more. And then,
come on, my wife's listening.
Okay, and then we can get another story out of you.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, but seriously, man, thank you so much for taking time out. I really do
appreciate
it.
It's great to see you.
And it is great to see you. And guys, check out All Saints and McAuliffe Cigars. And is this Kenn peeking in? It's Kenn peeking in.
Kilroy Kenn.
But seriously, take some time for yourself, man. You're on the road all the
We'll get there.
time.
Thanksgiving's around the corner.
There you go. So you take the holidays off then?
No, I don't necessarily take them off, but I'll sleep in my bed a little bit more often than I have been.
Well, that's good.
You got to build. You got to build it. It's fun. It's great to interact and always see a friend and make some new friends. And it's I get a lot of energy from that. So
well, that's good. That's good.
There's a blessing that's going on right now. And I'd hate to see it wasted.
There you go. Well, I called you Kenn because I'm looking at Kenn.
Yeah.
Mickey, thank you so much for taking time out.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. And let's go party.
Thanks, Spooner.
Spooner.
All right. See you, bud.
Well, I really want to thank Mickey for taking some time out, prior to the event starting and everything like that to sit down and chat.
He was a good guy. He gave a lot of time. He came in early and got us set up and explained what we were going to do and the McAuliffe coin. And it was a great time with him. Yeah,
and I find it interesting hearing him talk about kind of the dynamic between All Saints McAuliffe and how they're two separate but equal companies that are kind of each bringing something to the table that the other one needs and kind of working together and everything. So hopefully it all works out for them. There are some really good examples of how it can work out. Like for everybody talks about the Newman Fuente relationship,
correct?
But let's be real. There has also been some historical examples where over time the relationship isn't as beneficial after a while, and they kind of go their own separate ways. So hopefully this one is more the former and not the latter.
Yeah, it is a good point. Really good point. It seems to me the way they communicate and things like that, because we got to hear them both on the other podcast that you brought up earlier, and the way they were talking, it sounds like the relationship right now is pretty strong. So, well, that's true, and I don't want to dismiss it and say, oh, it's the honeymoon period, but let's be real, we are still early stages and everything, but I think it'll be good. What I'm curious about is, are we going to see any sort of limited edition collaboration kind of thing between them, like an All Saints McAuliffe kind of exclusive thing that I was thinking the same thing, and I was hoping they would, because of the way I think they're fairly different cigars,
Yeah.
If you smoked them both, I think the McAuliffe is a little more full bodied. These are a little more mild. The way that the taste present to me in my mouth, they hit me in totally different areas.
For
So
sure.
I would love to see a collaboration to where it brings the best of both of theirs together and have a really fantastic smoke.
I think that would be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, I can see that happening with them pairing together.
Well, I know that obviously in terms of factories, they both have their own separate operations. They're not, doing things at the same place,
right?
And whatever else. And again, that's I think that's how it should be, because ultimately, like I said, there could be a day where they outgrow the relationship and they need to have their own separate organizations set up, and I don't mean that in a negative term. I mean, it happens in business where you get together, you do some things, and over time, eventually you move on.
Yeah, things timing, as you said, it's all about timing. Timing, they both need a specific aspect right now to make each other grow. And after a little while, if they both grow together, then they'll be separated again to where they were already at the same spot where they were. They already have their own infrastructure, so it should work out well for them, I think.
The key to that is just making sure that when and if that happens, that it's a nice, happy, friendly separation, and not an ugly one. Because I think in the industry we've seen some ugly ones and we've seen some happy ones, and
very true.
I think it's just one of those things that we just need to make sure that. Well, they just need. I have nothing to do with it. I don't know why I'm saying we need to make sure. They need to make sure that everybody parts as friends if that's the case. But we're talking about the end. We're at the beginning of this relationship.
Yeah, we're still in the honeymoon, as you said.
Yes, exactly. I think that's exciting, and it's kind of nice that and let's be real. It allows for lounges to if they have one, they can try the other, and vice versa, and expand out, assuming that a lounge has space for expanding out.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, I know that's definitely. In your case, I know that's definitely an issue. Space is an issue.
I don't think many people realize before you can talk about it. Coming from me, everyone, they just hear it from me. But having another set of eyes now, I think with Nick there showing that my space is very small, and I have
more space than you kind of let on a little bit, but
And there are things that we just talked about with two of our members that about bringing in, expanding on how with what the space we have, consolidating and taking maybe not using boxes and using cubbies and building in the shelves and stuff. That just happened because they just came back from Vegas.
Yeah.
And two of the bars there had to redo because they had too many lines, too many SKUs, and they redid it and just built in cubbies and put labels on the cubbies. And said it worked out fantastic. And then now they've over doubled their size of the amount of cigars they have. Interesting.
So instead of displaying the boxes on the shelves, they just have these, like you said, these cubbies that have the labels, and you just kind of go, and that's the thing. I think a shop that has limited space, you're going to have to get creative with it because
think outside the box.
In this case, literally thinking outside of the box.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Yeah, that could work for you. I mean, you get like some essentially. Well, okay. So let this kind of dovetails a little bit into what happened on Thursday when we sat and spoke with Michael Herklotz. He was talking about how they've designed a tray,
right? And
this tray goes on the shelf instead of the various boxes. And within the tray, it allowed for, I think, what do you say, like 7 different SKUs?
7 different SKUs, I believe. And it's like 22 inches long, and it holds 14, I think, sticks per slot.
Something like that, yeah.
I think that's that's what I caught, I thought.
So maybe. That means
I'll have
I can't remember.
Yeah. I'll have a few extra out of each bundle, but I'll have some backup, and it'll take up a lot less room than his boxes. So I literally
precisely. I mean, that's 7 SKUs now. I mean, let's be real. What's the width of the average cigar box? I mean,
on his, I would have to imagine, if I'm just going off the top of my head, it's going to be about between 9 and 11 inches on the timeless, except the Panamera that I carry.
Yeah.
And that's going to be about 12 and a half.
I'm thinking about 12 on an average.
Yeah. And so His are between, I'd say, 10 and 12.
Okay, so let's just go with 10.
Yeah.
If it's 22 inches wide, this tray, that's 2 boxes. So that means you're only getting 2 SKUs on the shelf. With this tray, you're getting 7, and it's taking up the same footprint. That's brilliant.
Outside the box.
Precisely.
Wow.
I like it. Yeah. So anyway, so Wednesday night, obviously, Mickey was there and entertained everybody. Yeah. And then I left. My lady friend and I, we went off and grabbed some dinner and kind of went back to the hotel room and crashed for the evening because it was a long day with our trip to St. Augustine and everything else. We hit it hard.
In a lot of stuff, so
we sure did.
You did.
And so then Thursday, I got up and we got up and got moving. And by the time it was all said and done, we ended up going up to a place called the Atlantic Grill and having lunch seaside. And this was purely a Google thing, man. I went on Google. I did restaurants near me. I was looking at pictures and I was like, "Ooh, this place looks nice. Let's go there."
I've lived here 3 years and I still haven't been there. I literally just did an event there tonight. I did that Taste of Fun Coast right outside the windows.
Yeah. Did you eat?
I did not. I didn't get a chance. We were running behind because I was waiting for a delivery. So I was running behind. I could not get up there.
I wasn't going to throw him under the bus, but that seems to be the story of this week for you.
Wasn't it? Oh my gosh. Don't bring it up. Don't go any further on it.
I won't go any further on that.
Don't go any further.
I'm going to let it go, but yeah. Anyway, so you didn't get to eat there. That sucks.
No, but I ate a lot of good food from a lot of different restaurants that were at the Taste of Fun Coast.
Okay.
We were there. We had a table set up for beer and wine, and I had another table set up for cigars and paraphernalia, swag and things. So it went extremely well, very well received.
I was going to ask how it went. Okay,
we had about between 700 and 1,000 people showed up to this event at the club, and it was fantastic from 4 to 7, and we had a blast. Went to a lot of drinkers. Oh, those people can drink.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, now explain the facility that I was at, because when I went to this, I just thought it was a restaurant. Then I pull up. There's golf carts. I mean, this is like a golf course. There's tall buildings. I mean, that look like hotels, but I assume they're condos, maybe.
No, those actually where you were actually the hotel, the resort.
Okay, so it was this was a full-on resort.
This was a full-on resort. The hammocks are on ocean, on the what we call on the island on the ocean. Just over the bridge from where I am. They are a housing community, a golf resort, a hotel resort, townhomes, and a golf club. So the golf courses, they have I want to get this right. There's 2 full golf courses, one for the members and one is for the resort.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly. So, but it's a very high-end exclusive. The only way you can get on the courses if you're not a member is to be a guest in the hotel. That gives you preferential tee times. Prices are still high on the course. It's between $145 and $400 to play.
Wow.
So it's very exclusive, right on the ocean. It's a tremendous view, but everything is so well kept up there. It's just a great destination in itself.
Well, I won't lie. Lunch was not exactly the cheapest lunch on the planet.
Most hotel restaurants are not.
Yeah. But the steak frites that I had for lunch was delightful. And then, my lady friend, she enjoyed her beet and goat cheese salad.
Oh,
so
sounds like something my wife would love. That's her favorite.
She loved it. She said, though, the only complaint that she had about it was that because it's kind of a little bit of a pinkies out kind of place, the portion wasn't big enough. Precisely. It's like, you're giving me a salad here, and it's like, yeah, this was good, but it's like it could have been 2 or 3 times the size and would have been much better.
Understood.
Now I did try their bread pudding for dessert, and that was good. That was a chocolate chip bread pudding, and
someone just brought that to the shop yesterday from there, so I got to try it.
Yeah, and
you met Tom and Suzanne, our friends.
Yes,
from the shop.
Their son came in.
Yeah, David.
Okay, yeah.
They she bakes for me all the time. It is so funny because she goes, Ken, what do you like today? And I tell her I just want a cookie. So she makes me specialty cookies. Like she just brought in last night for my members party. Monday nights I'm closed, and I had member night, so all my members are come in. We sit down and we just BS and have fun or talk, play games, whatever they want to do. And I'm fully accessible. I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. I'm just there to hang out with everybody. And they brought in pumpkin spice bread and these cookies, and we all just sat there and had a blast for 4.5, 5 hours.
Well, that's an important member to maintain if she's baking for you all the time.
Very.
Yeah. That's a vital member right there.
Yeah, they're my newest members, and they've become one of our very close members and friends at this point. So it's been very nice. They do a lot of work for us because they have an etching business. So they do custom swag for me, for people.
Oh.
So it's been very nice. So they've been very, very helpful.
That's right. They had the box that they were doing something. The
tip box that they made for Mackenzie, my daughter. And she loves it. And we use that on our Sunday event. They did the tip box that's up at the cash register for whoever's working. They've made specialty items like my lighter. I have lighters that look like this with my logo on it. On the back side, they're etching for my wife. She's a huge Georgia and Green Bay fan. So I put the Georgia and Green Bay G, which happen to be almost identical.
Yeah,
they are identical. Don't say they are identical. They can't. They are not identical.
They're super close.
They're super close, but they are not
super close.
So being from Georgia and getting to meet the coaches and everything, and telling them that, they were like, no, they are not identical. They could not be. So they are not identical.
Colors aren't like size proportion or something
it's
like
that.
It's
the length of the comeback in the G that comes back. So those are a little different. So
that's funny. I like how it's practically the same except for just that one little thing.
It's almost like it's very funny. But we got in trouble because we made one for both of hers on one, and actually the coach for Georgia came into the bar we hung out in Georgia. And he looked at it and he goes, "You can't do that. Those aren't the same. The G's are different." And my wife sat there, proceeded to have a conversation with him, and found out exactly why.
Wow.
So it was very interesting. Yeah.
That is interesting. I do know the high school that I cover for my newspaper, O'Fallon, they have an O as their logo. And Oregon? It's very, very, very similar to the Oregon O, actually. It's super close. It's a little, the O'Fallon one's a little squattier. Like it's like if they pushed it in from the sides a little bit. But actually what's funny is that was not the initial one. The initial one was pretty much exactly the Oregon O, and Oregon reached out and said, "Hey, you need to change that." And so they kind of squatted it in just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Anyway, so we had lunch at the Atlantic Grill. It was amazing. And we had to get back to your shop though, because we had another guest pop in, and this was Michael Herklotz.
He did. He showed up. I was like, okay, Nick said he's going to be here at 2:30, and now Michael showed up at a little after 2, and I'm wondering, okay, where's Nick? Because I had never met him before. Formally, at PCA, I got to say hello, and that was it. He literally said hello and walked away because he was leaving for the evening. And so it was he walked in with my rep from Davidoff, who presents his product for us. And if it wasn't for Carlos, I would been totally lost, because he had to play some sort of buffer just so I can get to introduce myself, because I really didn't know him. But he is a true gentleman.
He really is. I mean, and the guy, between his work at Nat Sherman and the Davidoff Lounge in New York and everything, I mean, like, he's got so much retail experience to go along with his manufacturing experience that, I mean, he's able to talk to you not just about the cigars themselves, but then also, all the aspects of your business.
He is such a full picture guy. He understands, as you just said, he now understands manufacturing. He understands growing. He understands the business aspect. He understands, what's the correct word? It's not the big picture, but he understands the full spectrum of the whole thing, and how they interrelate, and how you get better at doing what you need to do as a shop.
He was asking all kinds of questions about not just your shop, but also the area that your shop is located in.
He actually kind of was impressed with the whole, intrigued, I guess was more the word, with the village that we're in and everything. So it was quite interesting. And then the best part was, even I think we touched on it on the last episode, the one gentleman that came up,
Yes,
Jimmy, out of nowhere and was totally unexpected and literally asked me, "Hey, talk to me. Hey, Ken, how are you?" I was like, "Jimmy, how are you?" He's with his dog walking through the village.
Yep.
He goes, "So have you got any more of those Nat Shermans in yet?" I go, "You need to ask him."
Yeah, exactly.
He's sitting right here.
There's the guy right there.
There's the guy.
And what's so funny is that Jimmy used to smoke at the Nat Sherman Lounge
in New York.
And
NYPD
they both
retired.
And he and Michael knew a bunch of similar people.
Yeah, a lot of the old retired police officers that would go there that they both do, which is very interesting. As we said, they had a great conversation.
They did.
Talked for almost an hour, the two of them.
Yeah.
And we kind of just sat there and listened because it was intriguing to us that they knew so many of the same people.
And it was one of those things where, for my listeners, I had intended to sit down and get an interview with Michael at that time, but there was no way I was going to interrupt this for a few different reasons, not the least of which is Jimmy had just recently moved to this area
10 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. And this was like his second time popping by your place. I mean, talk about a way to like cement a regular to have just a random meetup with this guy whose cigars he really likes that has all these common stories and whatnot that he can share with him. I mean, there was no from my perspective, I was like, I'm going to be doing a disservice both to Michael, Jimmy, and Ken if I jump in and say, "Hey, I want what I want,"
Right.
So Michael was gracious enough to schedule a Zoom interview with me that I'll be doing. So yeah, we'll get to that. It's still forthcoming.
Okay.
So hopefully that all shakes out and we get that taken care of, and hopefully next week I'll be able to bring you guys a sit down interview with Michael Herklotz. But anyway, they were just, and that's the thing. This was random,
so organic,
kind of a random pop by for them,
and it was so organic that it was just great to watch it blossom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the four other guys that we were sitting with outside on the patio were all great to see that happen too, because as I said, it was so organic. There was nothing that could have changed it really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was a really fun day. Chilling out there. And so then, obviously Michael and Carlos, correct?
Carlos, correct.
Yes. They went on. They had another event that evening.
Yeah, up
to
in
go
St.
and
Augustine.
do.
Yep.
So they went on to that, and that's when you graciously took my lady friend and I out to dinner.
We went out to a nice restaurant in Flagler Beach and had a great meal on the ocean overlooking the beautiful, beautiful night that we had.
I don't know if I have been that stuffed full of fish and chips in like ever. I mean,
I have been the biggest portion of fish and chips I've ever seen.
That was huge. That was
excellent.
It was excellent. Oh, no. It was fantastic. But my God, the amount of food that you got at that place was unreal. Significant difference from the Atlantic Grill. I'll say that much.
No, it wasn't the Atlantic Grill, but you remember the 2 days before you went to dinner at another restaurant that you had
I did, and I got the same thing, and it was a significant difference in portion as well. So yeah, I mean, it's you picked the right one. Let's put it that way. Now I will say the waiter there really has to learn the difference between creamy coleslaw and vinegar-based coleslaw, because I asked.
Nick did ask the question, and I was like, hold on. When he said it was a vinegar base, I was like, I'm not thinking that it is, because I've eaten there probably I've been here 3 years. I've probably eaten there 60 times now, 70 times, because we bring everyone in there because it's one of the staples in our local area. That's just fantastic.
Well, and it's chill. It's a nice vibe. You get that cool, ocean breeze off of the ocean there, and I mean,
Funny
but
how
and
that
like,
works.
and yeah, I know it's weird. And then the food is just amazing. So I mean, I know why you're bringing people there.
I even had
But
shared the story because I had my wedding there at that restaurant.
yes,
I rented out the whole bottom area with the tiki bar and everything, and it just my anniversary was yesterday.
I was
Well, it was
just
after
about to
you
say
got.
happy
Yeah,
anniversary because
my
I was
anniversary was yesterday, which was the 23rd, and it was right in the middle of Biketoberfest.
yeah,
And we could not guarantee that there wouldn't have been 200 motorcycles running around with making so much noise that we couldn't have done our ceremony.
for
So we
sure.
had to step back and find a different venue.
Well, and let's talk about Biketoberfest for a moment because I feel like that was something that was kind of like looming in the background the whole time
Oh,
I was down there. I
yep.
mean, everywhere you went, there were just like packs of motorcycles. Like, I mean, and we're not talking small groups of motorcycles here. I mean,
No.
like these were large groups of motorcycles. Everywhere you went, you had groups of motorcycles.
Yeah, it's the event that happens every October, and I believe it's the 18th through the 21st, 18th, the 18th or 17th, all the way through the 22nd or 23rd. Plus, to get rentals here, you have to book the week before and the weekend after.
Wow.
So it's I think either a 10 or 14-day rental you have to get here, and bikers are in for a long time. And I'm gonna jump a little bit ahead.
Okay.
You on your way to the airport stopped at a tavern
We
in
did.
Daytona on a recommendation from me that I had just gotten from several of my regulars. That you've been to two places now that I've never been.
Okay.
So I am on my way down there on. I think I'm going Thursday afternoon, right as I leave work.
Yeah.
And actually, now that I just think about it, I'm not working Thursday because my doctor just changed my appointment and I'm going to lunch there because I'm going to be in Daytona.
There you go. There you
I am
go.
looking for that burger you sent me looked fantastic.
Oh, dude, it was well. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So we had dinner, and
Hung out at the house.
and then we went back to your place.
Yep, came back to the house and hung out and had some friends over from the shop. Sat around the fire pit and enjoyed an evening with great drinks and cigars and just music and fun.
And just
What a perfect
BS
night.
until like, I mean, it was after midnight. I know that we left.
Yep, yeah, it sure was.
Yep, it was late. It was definitely late.
We had a good time, and it was definitely worth the time that we spent and had fun.
It was fantastic. And your backyard setup, I mean, like you've got it made, man. You got the big fire pit, you got all the chairs around and everything. Then you go down just this little incline that takes you to your dock. So, and you've got a couple chairs down there if you want to sit by the canal there and everything. Or
the intercoastal.
Intercoastal.
Yeah, it's called
okay. Channel. I was like, is it canal? Is it inlet? I don't know.
Channels is good. Okay. The intercoastal, whatever you want to use, finger, they're all acceptable for around here.
And we kept hearing things splashing around in the water down there.
Yeah, we actually have quite a few dolphin, manatee ever come around every now and then, sea turtles, stingrays, a lot of fish. We catch a lot of fish in the canal. So
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm on a unique situation. We're not on a straight finger like most people are.
Yeah.
There's 3 cul-de-sacs. What we call our area is a little cul-de-sac because it's a big round area at the end of a finger. And there's only 3 of those in our whole town of Palm Coast.
Okay.
So it's totally different from what most people will see or have in their backyard. And it makes it very unique. And plus that monster of a tree right in my center of my backyard.
Oh my gosh, yes. You have a monstrous tree.
Beautiful oak. It's called a live oak. I've never seen it before other than here in Florida. But what an amazing, that's what sold me on the house. I told you that story when my wife was down here looking for a rental property, and we literally had 4 houses to look at because she brought her mother down for her birthday. We were looking at rental properties. Her mom fell into love with the house we were looking at for rental. She bought that house, put her house up on the market, and sold it before she even got home 2 days later, which made we had to buy a house because my wife is an only child and had to be close to her mom. So we moved down. She found a house. She walked into this house, put me on a Zoom call on her phone, and I saw the tree in the background and from the front door. I was like, keep walking straight. She goes, hold up. What about that? I go, keep walking straight. Go to that tree. I want to see it. and that's what sold me on the house. I never even saw the house other than the living room she walked through, and we bought the house.
Well, I mean, it worked out. You have a nice home. You have a
Thank you
nice
very
home.
much. I appreciate that.
And so Thursday night, yeah, we hung out, we partied, and had a great time. And then that leads into Friday. But before we lead into Friday, why don't we go ahead and do this? It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by Villiger. Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. So, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? My wife and I have very few interests that are similar. So I have actually been calming myself down, and we've been sitting down when I have time, and we're watching, like, the first show is SWAT.
Okay.
The national syndicated show, and we're watching it, and very good. We have 2 episodes left to catch up on, and we'll be finished with the series. So that's been one we've been really enjoying.
There you go.
So
now, in terms of what I watched while I was down in Palm Coast, there obviously when you're in the hotel, you have limited TV channels available to you. And what I find when I travel is that for some reason, I don't know why they do this. Apparently MTV just runs marathons of ridiculousness, like on the regular, like every day practically. You can turn it on and you can watch videos of people falling down and hurting themselves and whatever else, So I watched quite a bit of ridiculousness just because it was on and it was something kind of mindless to watch. But I found myself one evening flipping around. I didn't want to watch that. And I settled on the Golden Girls.
I remember you saying that, yes.
And
caught me off guard.
I'll tell you, it caught me off guard too. Because I lost my mind at one point laughing. It was this episode where the Golden Girls were going on this game show, and the 4 of them were supposed to be a team. It's kind of a Family Feud-ish kind of deal, but it wasn't that specifically. And Blanche and B. Arthur, I don't remember her character's name, Dorothy, right? Or is Dorothy the old lady?
Dorothy, I think maybe the mom.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
Blanche and B. Arthur, they decide they want to cut Betty White and Estelle Getty out of the picture because they think that they're stupid and they've got these other 2 guys that are ringers and whatever else. And so they cut them out of the picture. Well, when they tell them this, they're kind of explaining to them like, oh, it's going to be better because we'll get this prize and, you guys will still benefit from it and blah, blah, blah. And Estelle Getty looks at B. Arthur and just says, get bent. And I lost my mind at Estelle Getty telling B. Arthur to get bent. And I don't know why. I mean, as I sit here now, I'm smiling, but I'm not laughing my ass off at it. I laughed my ass off at it that night. And it was really funny.
I could see that because I remember the first thing that you talked about that next morning when we sat down. That was what you brought up. And I was like, okay.
Freaking Estelle Getty just like, get bent. I'm like, what the hell? Oh God. But yeah,
that show your ridiculousness. I guess I've never seen it. I don't watch MTV anymore, but I have in the station that I play in the shop most of the time is Chive TV, which I'm gathering is similar to that.
It's similar to that. Parts of it. It's similar to that, except they have a host and 2 other people that kind of comment on some of the videos and that sort of thing. To be honest, you could take them completely out of it. You could just run a half an hour of the videos. I would be a much happier person because there's a gal on there called her name is Chanel West Coast, and I can't stand her. I just cannot stand her. She's got the most annoying laugh I've ever heard in my life. She very rarely offers any sort of insight into the situation. And she's there. I know why she's there, but I'm not interested in that. And so, like, truthfully, they could just run the videos. It's similar to, I don't know if you've ever watched like Tosh.0
I love Tosh.
Yeah, it's very similar to Tosh.
I watched it probably 10 years ago. I haven't seen it since my kids moved out to go to college.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time either, but it's the same concept. It's you have the host, he introduces some funny videos for a little bit, comes back, does a little bit more video. Same concept, only it's 3 people instead of just 1. Gotcha. And I but it's good for a while, but after a while it's just like, oh my God, how much of this can I actually watch? And so I wanted to flip around. And what we found is, I guess our hotel must use Dish, which meant that they were in conflict with both ABC and NBC. So we couldn't watch either one of those 2 channels. All we had was, so like in terms of watching the news in the morning, all we had was CBS. Couldn't catch the Today Show in the morning. Couldn't watch. All you had was CBS. And then from there, it's 8 billion sports channels, 8 billion news channels, and like this many like entertainment channels, So it's like, okay, what's on the Food Network? What's on HGTV? What's on MTV? And what's on Comedy Central?
Right.
Did we get Comedy? No, Golden Girls was on the Hallmark Channel. That's right, because they were promoting Christmas movies in the commercial breaks.
I'm surprised you didn't get Three's Company or something.
I would have liked to have watched Three's Company over. I mean, let's be real. I was in the old sitcom mode at that point. I would have watched that.
Yes, you were.
But anyway, so yeah, that's about it in terms of what I was entertained by over the course of my, in terms of outside, media during my trip. I really tried to just focus in on the trip. So.
Seems like you had a good time, so I'm glad you were able to get some downtime and relax and just have fun, go sightseeing, because you guys got to see some pretty cool things.
We did, and we definitely could have taken more time to do that. So it's one of the we got a little bit of taste of all kinds of stuff, and now it's like, okay, now we go back and we can do this and we can do that, and it's nice. It's a very nice area. So then. Partied at your place Thursday night. Then Friday we got up and I came up to the shop.
Yes, you did.
And met you.
He was moving slow, might I add you.
I was moving a little slowly. But that's when we recorded the prior episode, the one that came out on Tuesday, the first part. And that's when you and I had a whole lot of technical issues with the equipment going on there. I don't know if that was, issue. Oh yeah. Oh, it's your puppy,
Reagan. This is my baby girl.
There you go.
My kids are all moved out, and this is what we have now. So she's my precious kid. She's an American Eskimo Spitz.
I remember commenting that she looked like a larger white Pomeranian.
Yes.
So.
She's our Look at Ray. Look.
Hi.
Hey,
hi.
Hi.
She's like, it's a TV. I don't care about that.
So I don't know what that is.
Exactly. So so we got the episode recorded, and like I said, just kind of with the technical issues and everything else, time just kind of got over. What's fascinating about that? I do, and I remember talking about that to one of your friends there. I don't remember which one it was. Might have been. I don't know. But we were talking about how animals, I've talked with other listeners and various things like that. Animals love cigar smoke. Like there's at least one guy I know that listens, and when he goes to his humidor to pick out a cigar, the dog knows it's time to go sit outside and hang out. And so the dog will run to the door while he's picking out his cigar. And then they'll go out to the patio or whatever, and the dog will just sit there and just smell the smoke.
Yep. She's very, very similar to that. She comes and goes through the doggy door, but if I'm in my humidor and I pick out a cigar and she knows I'm coming outside or to the dock, she has to be right with me.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it. She'll just lay on my lap.
It must be an aromatic thing that they enjoy or something. I don't know.
How's your cigar burning? Mine's
fantastic. I mean, it's going great. I've got one little spot that just needs to be caught up.
I just tried to do a retro. I'm not sure if you caught that while you were talking, and I
did not. You didn't hack up a lung though, so that's good.
I didn't. I'm trying. Getting better.
It's baby steps.
Baby steps.
I'm about, I'd say maybe slightly
Yep.
maybe a little bit past halfway on it. I guess I could do a retro hail just to appease everybody.
Definitely a different flavor from the beginning to now. It's way smoother. It doesn't have the strong's not the right word. Yeah.
The retro hail's got a kick though.
Kicked. Yeah, it does. Even on the Habano, it has a kick compared to what you're using.
I bet. No, I've smoked a number of these. This is actually what's funny is I'm pretty sure I'll have to check it when I go inside. This cigar might be from the box that I've been slow smoking, and it's one of the original All Saints boxes where it has the typo.
Oh, really?
So it says Cigars instead of cigars because of whatever font they used. And so I think I have a Cigars box.
That sounds like what happened with my logo from the very beginning, because our store name is Ash and Ale.
Yeah.
I had the cigar. I'm trying to see what shirt. If you see my shirt, my cigar was flipped the other way, and the hot spot was right here. And I had smoke coming up in the form of an S almost. And it looked like Sash and Ale. So I had a few people who kept saying that, and it was driving me nuts. So I literally redid my whole logo just to change that.
I mean, I can understand that.
3 months after I opened, I changed my whole logo.
I mean, you don't want to be known as Sash and Ale.
Correct.
I mean,
everyone's like, "What's Sash and Ale?" I was like, "Oh, stop it!
Stop it!" That's awesome. But yeah, so we recorded on Friday, and then
you got to meet several listeners at your show. You met Frank, Ricky.
Yeah.
You met Lisa.
Yeah.
So you got to meet several.
Then there was who came in on Friday? It was the Top Gun gentleman. I'm trying to
Randy on Stapleton.
Randy, he popped in.
Yeah.
And he we talked for a little bit. And then was that James Bond that was sitting there?
You did, the original. He was born 2 years before it all started.
That's funny. I assumed that was him because you guys had mentioned that you have a guy named James Bond that goes there. And you kept calling him James. I never caught the last name, but when his phone rang, it was that infamous theme song. And I was like, okay, I'm guessing one of my members, is James Bond.
He's one of my founding members. He's in box 007.
Oh, that's awesome.
For Christmas, two of my other members went out and bought him a ring that had 007 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a great, great, great guy. I've learned so much from him. And his experience, world experience, is what he's done. He worked in submarines way back when, and he worked for the Merchant Marines. He was a pilot who brought in ships in Tampa and all over the world. He was one of the original people to get the rocket boosters off the space shuttles and things like that. So he has an amazing story.
Interesting. Well, he was very nice, in the brief conversation that we had. And, we just kind of hung out. And then from there, I did a little brief shopping before we left. And
you picked up some nice smokes.
I did, and I burned through some of them already.
Did you already?
Yeah, I did. And then from there we hit the road, and that's when we drove down the A1A. Kind of took the scenic route back to the airport. Took our sweet time, drove down the A1A, and you had recommended a place in Daytona Beach for lunch, and I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Daytona Pub and Tavern.
That's it. Daytona Tavern. And so we stopped there. And now this place had been
right in the heart of Bike Week too.
But it wasn't busy. That was the brilliant part. Is the time that we got there was one table of about 8 bikers that were sitting there having their lunch. But that was it. So we were able to walk in, sit right down, and get served right away. And
yeah, you sent me that picture, and I was really jealous.
Oh, dude, it was so good. So I got their burgers are they call them smash burgers, but they're not like thin like a Steak and Shake patty. They're a little thicker. And I ended up getting the triple because I thought it was going to be kind of thin. Realistically, I think a double would have been just fine. But
So, let me preface why I suggested this, because I think
Yeah.
most of you listeners out there know that Nick has been on a TV show back in the past. Man versus Food.
Man versus
And
Food. I did not
this
compete, for the record.
you did not?
I did not compete. I was one of the people that they interviewed about the place. And then later during the competition, I was one of the guys that came on and was like, I don't know if he can do it. This is really hard. They tell you kind of what to say. But anyway.
This place was on Man versus Food because they have a burger that is 3 grilled cheeses, 6 patties, 1.5 pounds of bacon, and some. You read the menu. I have not.
Yeah,
I was just told
it was insane. It was just insane.
And probably 1 pound of French fries, or
they have
whatever.
an entire section on their menu of kind of insane burgers.
Oh, really?
And they have at least 2 of them that are labeled Man versus Food. They've been on a couple of shows. It wasn't just Man versus Food. There was like maybe 2 other shows that they listed on their menu that they'd been on. And
wow, were they on Drivers, Dine-ins, and Dives?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember what the other ones
in this
were.
Area quite a few times, so
it's possible. But I'll tell you, they have really good burgers. I really did enjoy the burger, and the fries there, dude. I mean, my lady friend and I, we both agreed, best fries whole trip.
Really,
it's one of those things. You get fries places, and you really got to stand out in order to be a good fry. You know, it's like most of the time it's like, how's the fries? They're fries. You know, they're fine. These were the best fries of the whole trip.
Wow. Okay. You just sold me.
We ended up getting the truffle fries. So I had a little truffle oil and some cheese grated on the on top. Super good. I would recommend that. But they had all kinds of different fry options. Like if you wanted to get like the loaded ones with like chili and all that on it, you could do that. I mean, but just the basic fries, just in and of themselves, super good.
Awesome. I can't wait to try this place.
So we had a nice lunch there, and then we kind of just made our way slowly back to the airport. And in the course of that, I made a handful of wrong turns. Like I missed one exit because of traffic. Then I made a wrong turn somewhere else, and we ended up going essentially through, I think, the heart of Orlando, like downtown, in order to circle around. So yeah, I got a nice scenic view of the
the stadium and everything.
Yeah, where the Magic play, right?
Yeah,
I know we passed that. Yeah, so no, we went through Orlando there, and and it timed out, that it was coming up on 5. So I mean, it was definitely. It was trafficky. So we did that. And I will say, my rental car. Let's talk about my rental car for a moment.
You kind of look pretty big at it.
Well, I did a survey today. Thrifty. I rented through Thrifty, which I guess is a subsidiary of Hertz. And they sent me a survey today, and I was honest. And I said that I wasn't happy with the check-in process because they had this large counter and they had like 2 people working, so it's 45-minute wait in line. Wow. I did the online check-in on my phone so that theoretically I could just walk up to the counter, get key, get whatever I needed and go. Well, I did that, but then when I went up to the counter, the guy made me do everything again practically, even though he found me in the thing. So I don't know why I did the online thing. Wow. But be that as it may, I got my car. And as we're pulling out of the garage, it was a Chevy Trax, which for anybody who knows about cars, I had rented what I thought was a Nissan Rogue, which is one step down from my Pathfinder. I mean, I didn't need a big SUV. I didn't even need an SUV theoretically either. But, I like to climb up into a car and fall out of a car. I don't like to fall into a car and climb out of a car, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because it hurts your knees after time.
We're not small people.
No. So okay. So yes, that leads me to my issue with the Trax. Fat guy in a little car. I'm like this driving this thing, right?
You should have seen him driving. I wish I would have taken a picture when he was following me back to my house.
it was a little tight. It was a little, and then the other thing was my seat was like raised. I mean, I was like looming over my lady friend. The back seat, my God, if somebody was sitting in the back seat, I mean, I would have felt like a judge sitting at the bench, like looming down over the court. But I had to duck down to look out the top of the windshield to see the stoplight if I was the first one at the stoplight. And I tried to find the lever to lower my seat. I don't think there was one. I think it's just designed higher. I don't know why. But anyway, the main complaint that I had about the vehicle, though, was I was maybe not even a mile or two away from the airport after checking out the car and leaving. And the tire pressure light for the rear passenger tire came on. And so I was watching that the whole trip. And thankfully, it lists what the pressure is, and it stayed even the whole time. So I knew it was probably like either just underfilled or maybe like a temperature variance or something like that was causing it. I was making sure it wasn't leaking, and it wasn't. So that's fine. I didn't mess with it. But it's like, why are you giving me a car that's got like a bad tire to start with, Anyway, I returned the vehicle and you pull in and they tell you where to park, and they're like, did you put gas in it? And I'm like, yeah, which that was the one benefit. That was the one benefit to this vehicle, I will say. By the time I put gas in it, I was 3/4 of a tank down. I didn't fill up at all throughout the entire trip. So it got great gas mileage. And when I did fill up that 3/4 of a tank, it only cost me like $28 and some change, which is insane to me.
Wow.
Given what it costs to fill up my car. Now, granted, your gas prices are cheaper down there, but not by a ton. Yeah, I filled up at $3.19 a gallon, and around here, if I really bust my ass and search for it, and possibly jump the river over to Missouri, I can probably find $3.49.
Wow.
Now the Moto Mart that's right by my house, that's at $3.79 right now. So,
Wow.
you are cheaper than us.
Yeah, we actually are down now because where you filled up in Orlando was a lot cheaper than here. It's usually about 20 cents cheaper. I'm down at $3.29 right now, so I'm gathering Orlando's probably at $3.03 or $2.95 at this point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we've been since you left, we've been on a steady downturn on the pricing of gas.
Wish that would move up here. But anyway, so I filled up the car, I dropped it off. Guy asked if I needed to put in gas. I'm like, no, I filled up the gas. And then he just disappeared. Now, I don't rent cars on the regular, so I don't necessarily know the protocol, etiquette, exactly. So I'm like, what do I do? And so I just left the keys on the dash, and we just went inside, and that was that. And checked into our plane, got to the gate, and got on the plane to come home.
Were you guys able to sit next to each other, or did you guys have to separate?
We were. And so all right, now we're going to rag on Southwest Airlines for a minute. So Southwest, hang on, I'm letting my cigar go out.
Wow.
That's why I touched it up just a second ago, is because I was talking so much. It's going out, but now it's going out again. Yeah, let's rag about Southwest for a minute. So my lady friend and I, we flew Southwest. Now, anybody who flies Southwest knows there's no assigned seating, and you have to check in 24 hours in advance in order to get your boarding group and boarding number. Okay, so there's A group, B group, C group, and then 1 through 60 in these various groups. So I checked in late on Thursday night,
sitting out around the campfire.
I should have checked in right at 7:15. I did not. It was more like 9. It wasn't quite that late, but it was in the 9s. I think it was like 9:30. I was about 2 hours late. And when I checked in, I got C24. So I'm like, fuck, I'm practically at the end. And so my lady friend, she's like, I haven't checked in. I'm going to wait until the last possible minute. I want to be the last one. I want to have the last one. And I'm like, why? She goes, at this point, I'm going to be in the back anyway. What's it matter? You get on, you find seats, whatever. It'll be fine. So as we're checking the car back in, she checks into her flight. She gets B12. And I'm like, how in the hell did you get B12 when you're less than 2 hours from takeoff, and I checked in 22 hours from takeoff, and I got C24. We have no explanation for it, nothing at all. She got B12. So she got on the plane. She was able to secure the seats for us. And what's nice is it was a full flight. However, it must have been a full flight minus like maybe one or two people, because she sat on the aisle. I sat next to the window. We had the empty seat in the middle, but maybe my snacks might have ended up on that chair in the middle or something. And so everybody going by, they took one look and they're like, here's Nick with the armrest up so that I, can kind of like relax into that middle seat just ever so slightly, and have my snacks there. And nobody sat there. So we ended up with that middle seat open for the flight back.
That's
and
awesome.
It worked out really, really well.
Good for you guys.
I don't want to have to.
Yeah, not as well as your first flight coming here, though.
No. That one was not a full flight. And that one we were able to spread out like amongst the plane, and it worked out really, really well. So that
doesn't happen very often anymore.
No. I mean, I'm trying to think. That was probably, oh man. I know I could count on one hand the amount of like not full flights that I've been on in probably the last 10 years. I mean, they're always full every single time you get on. It's like, it's a full flight, so everybody needs to huddle up. And I'm just like, I hate that so much. I hate it so much. But I always want the aisle. She wanted the aisle, so I was stuck with the window, which kind of sucks for me because, again, it's like, you kind of like huddled in the corner.
Only good thing about the window seat is that if you want to take a nap on the plane, you actually have your head. You can lean over and just rest your head. So that makes it much easier.
Well, I forgot my airplane pillow. I've got one of those neck pillow things that keep your head from bobbing around all over the place.
Of course you do.
And I bought it I actually bought it in an airport one time. I paid way too damn much for this thing, but it has been very helpful when I do fly and use it. But I forgot it this time, and so I didn't have it. And it would have been helpful, but it's okay. I dealt with it. But I slept pretty much the majority of the flight back. And I mean, I slept the entirety of the flight out. So I'm just one of those guys on the plane. I'll just sleep. It's just
really.
Oh, I fall asleep.
See, I fall asleep while we're loading.
Yeah.
When people are still getting on, I always get to the aisle. As soon as the two seats next to me, I pass out. As soon as we take off, I'm awake. And right before I get to start on our descent, I'll fall asleep again.
Well, that's like the worst parts to fall asleep.
Well, that's why I fall asleep. I've traveled so much, and I've been on a plane there was 3 years in 2003, 4, 5, no, 2001, 2, and 3 that I was on a plane every day, basically for almost those 3 years.
Gross.
So I traveled a lot for business and everything.
I hate flying. I would much rather drive. I hate flying. I recognize that it's the quickest way to get somewhere, and that's why I do it. But they have made the process so uncomfortable and unfriendly to the consumer that it's so gross. I hate it. You're crammed in there. You have no leg room. You're in this like tube with people, and everybody's coughing and this thing. I hate it so much.
If you think about the way you guys traveled down here and up, it was another 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a half longer if you would have driven, because you guys had to wake up so early.
Oh, now that's true. If you take into account all
the
that
travel
extra
time and everything.
Let's just for shits and giggles here. Let's just, from my house right now to your lounge. From my house to your lounge, it is a 14-hour drive.
Okay, and from the time you took off to the time you got to my lounge, you didn't get to my lounge that first day until almost 1:30. It was 12 and a half hours.
Yeah, you know what? When you put it that way, there's some truth to that. Yeah. Well, I know, but then I would have to drive through, and then I'd have to drive through Atlanta, and I hate driving through Atlanta.
That's the one thing I can honestly say is that my wife and I, being from Atlanta, we can work around the traffic situation in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
really, really well. But it's still a pain in the ass. Atlanta,
No.
growing up in LA and then Atlanta and being in New York, Atlanta's almost as bad as the other two.
Yeah.
But your windows are about an hour longer on each side of traffic jams. But if you don't get into Atlanta before 2 o'clock and you get there at 3:30, 4 o'clock, you're hosed until 7. It'll literally take you 2.5 to 4 hours to get through town.
Yeah. So looking at the route takes me through Nashville and then Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, and then otherwise it's just straight shot.
And Nashville's not even fun anymore because it's gotten so congested, and the interstates, there's nowhere for them to expand because of the downtown area and all of that. There's just nowhere for them to expand.
I can't remember the last time I drove in Nashville.
Nashville's a great town. We were just up there earlier this year. So we had a great time.
Well, anyway, so no, we flew and was what it was, but I was able to get back to my car and made it home, and all was well.
That's awesome.
And now I'm back to reality. It was a great trip. We had a really, really good time, and it's been nice to recap it with you because it just kind of reminds you of the little things. But yeah, it was a great trip, and I know we're both looking forward to making a return trip.
Look forward to having you back whenever you're interested in coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll definitely get you some other items to go see, go do, and things like that.
For sure. Well, now, why don't we hear about My Monthly Cigars? This would normally be the time that I give some information about My Monthly Cigars, but I've hired that out this week, so take it away.
My Monthly Cigars is a premium cigar subscription service. It comes in a variety of different size boxes at affordable prices. Use offer code PULPIT and get free shipping on your first box and 20% off any items in the online store at mymonthlycigars.com.
That's offer code PULPIT. Thanks. I know Nick had rewritten and recorded some versions of a new commercial for himself that he was going to send to me, but he recorded himself and he didn't like the way he sounded doing it. He wanted to find another voice, preferably a female voice that would do it for him. And he hasn't gotten me that. So Nick, if you want to stop hearing that old commercial, you got to get me the new one, buddy. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, and then in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on that. And then we're on Twitter/X where I don't really do much. YouTube where you can watch this. And this episode will be dropping on Friday. This will be past the deadline that I set for Ask the Boys. But I do need your calls because I will have probably recorded the Ask the Boys episode by this time that this episode drops. And if I haven't, then I'm going to be shortly doing so. And so do need your calls for November. Nope. What am I talking about? November. So area code 863-874-0000. And I'm going to keep the prize pack train rolling. So there will be some cigars and some fucking good coffee available for the person who has the best call. So get those calls in. And if your call is chosen as the best one, then you win a prize pack. It works out well.
Doesn't sound like it's bad. For those
Not
coffee drinkers out there, please give us calls.
There you go.
Because I know Nick needs as many as he can get.
Dude, it makes for good conversation.
It does. And a good show.
Exactly. Those shows are always fun. So, I mean, not that this hasn't been fun, but I'm saying those shows are always fun because you get a lot of diversity in those shows because, everybody has different thoughts and questions and whatever else. So,
and then especially when your dad's on it. Jeez.
Oh, I know. I'll have to get him back. I have people asking for him back. He doesn't know it. He has a fan base. It's funny. One appearance and as soon as that episode dropped, I had all kinds of listeners reach out like, you need to have him on more often. I'm thinking, all it takes is for him to start opening up about his opinions on this, that, and the other thing, and suddenly it's going to get interesting.
This will turn into a different kind of show.
It will. Oh,
That is so
anyway.
funny.
And where can people follow you?
Where can they find Ash and Ale, Palm Coast, Ash and Ale Lounge on Instagram, Ash and Ale on Facebook. And if we have other things, you'd have to ask my daughter.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Well,
So-
guys, as somebody who has spent I'll say 3 days total over the course of 4 days at the Ash and Ale Lounge in Palm Coast. If you're in the area, you owe it to yourself to swing by. It's a fantastic place. Everybody's super nice. Great selection of cigars, great selection of libations to go along with those cigars, and a wonderful little patio out front to sit and just watch the world go by.
You brought up one point that I want to hit off before we finish.
Yeah.
The one beer that I had you taste because you asked on a previous
the Chimay.
The Chimay, yes. So how did you like the way that paired with the 2 cigars you tried it with?
Dude, it was a fantastic beer. It paired well. I really enjoyed that. And what's fascinating to me is I think it was my lady friend that was telling me that it's made by monks.
The Tapas monks, yes, in Belgium, yes.
So it's holy beer.
Holy beer.
Holy beer. I loved it.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I have yet to find a cigar that it does not pair well with.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, I don't drink coffee, and I'm not much of a beer person, but that is one that I have yet to find that does not pair well with anything. I have tried Connecticut's all the way up to head full-bodied Maduros, and literally this beer, the warmer it gets, the better it pairs with everything.
I was just about to say that. You brought up that it gets better when it gets warmer.
The flavors open up, yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, this was the blue labeled Chimay.
Correct. And there's a gold and a red as well that are out there that are good, but the blue still pairs better with cigars all around than the other two.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. If you're looking for a good beer pairing with your cigars, check out that blue label Chimay. It was really, really good. And it was endorsed by both me and Ken, but then also Renee.
Yes. Renee loved that beer. When he tried it, it was interesting to me that he actually decided to try one and then really, really enjoyed it as well. So
yeah. No,
that was
worked out.
That was very nice.
Worked out fantastic.
It did.
Well, I want to personally thank Renee. I want to thank Mickey. I want to thank Michael Herklotz for his time. And obviously, big thanks go out to Ken here because it was a fantastic trip. It worked out so wonderfully. Like I said, everybody was super nice. And you couldn't have made it more home-like of a visit. It was great.
Guys, if there's any more store owners out there, if you guys have the opportunity to get Nick at your store, it's amazing what he does with customers as well. And your members and everything. He just makes them feel so at home. So please, if you have that opportunity, invite him. If he has that opportunity to go and see you, it's just another feather in your cap. So I have people.
We didn't even, and we didn't even really like. I wanted to. And this will be something we put in the box for next time.
Okay.
Is I want to do a show where we bring in your members and just we sit there and we bring in guys like Ricky and
Gene
the others and
Mickey.
we just sit and we cycle them through and just kind of be like, all right, so tell me about yourself and just kind of like go at it that way and give that, because I mean that's the thing, we've touched on a number of your members throughout the last 2 episodes now, talking about their various stories. The stories that your guys have is just outstanding.
The eclecticness of my group is pretty amazing to me as well. Plus the friendliness of everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think there is, once my members get a hold of folks who walk in, there is no strangers. I try to make that happen for myself with anyone who walks in to make them feel welcome. But if I am busy with someone else, my members take over. They will literally go up to a customer or someone looking and help them. They will walk them through and talk to them until I'm free, which is, to me, I've never seen before. So I think that we've cultivated an amazing group of guys that are taking pride in what they have and what we've given them to work with. And they have made me more successful than I could have done myself.
Well, I'll tell you. So my lady friend that came along with me, this was her first experience at an honest to God, just regular cigar lounge. She and I, we'd been to a more higher end, Rocky Patel Burn location, and but that's a way different vibe. That is a completely different vibe, and than your place, and your place is more reminiscent of the local cigar lounge that has that regular clientele where they all kind of know each other, more of a Cheers environment and less of
Yes.
a higher end bar that happens to have cigars. And so this was her first environment, or, chance to like interact in that environment, and she loved it. She's like, this was great, talking to all these guys, people, and meeting everybody, and just it was
She seemed
I
to
think it was
fit in fantastically.
I think it was way different than what she thought it was going to be.
Well, that's good. That's
So
that's what I hoped for. So it was interesting when you told me that she was coming with you, that we would have the ability to make her feel welcome and to feel engaged in our conversations, and she seemed to fit in fantastically.
mm-hmm. Well, and that's the other thing I want to emphasize to people. Not every cigar lounge is, how do I put this gently? I'll just say date friendly. Some it's you go in and it's like a woman, and it's not that they're like against a woman being in there.
Right.
It's that
They
they just don't see it. And it's
Right.
like you walked in with a unicorn or something like that, and some places they'll kind of rein back the conversation a little bit to be polite. Other places they don't give a shit and they just go at it. And then and that can, depending on the person that you're with, that can either be a turn on or turn off and whatever else. But I never got the impression that your guys were pulling back or reining back. But at no point did it really seem to get like super boys club kind of like anything like that. It was everybody was just chill and polite, and it was wonderful.
That's one of the things we've been trying to cultivate for the year that I've had it, is to make it very friendly for spouses to come. We have a lot of members whose spouses are very, very, very in our who want to come. They ask their husbands to come because they are so comfortable now. So my wife had a big part of that, and that was one of the things when we were talking about buying the shop, that she wanted to make comfortable so she can have friends with well. So if she wants to hang out and come up, she has a group of people to hang out with too, and not just sit there and listen to the guys chat.
Yeah.
So it's worked extremely well, and we've had, I would say, probably 30% of our customers now are women, because
that's
people
fantastic.
are coming in and hearing from other people saying, you guys are very women friendly. So we're getting quite a few more women smokers coming in, even when they're just traveling through, that they're hearing about us just from comments on Google and things like that, saying that we're friendly to everyone, that they feel very comfortable coming in and just spending an hour and just hanging out.
Well, and that's important because that's an entire like consumer base that a lot of shops, I don't want to say they ignore it, but they definitely don't cultivate it.
Correct.
So I mean,
that was one of the things that, again, as my wife states, I've got my wife and her two daughters who live down here, one of them who works for me, that make it very friendly for everybody. And we all try to make it friendly because they all bring their wives down, most of my members. And on Friday and Saturday, and especially on Sunday during our bottomless mimosas and sangria bar, I'm sorry that you weren't able to see it the weekends, because they do get a little more busy than during the week. It just explodes. So, and I would say,
that was me. That was just me being frugal with my budget, is that, weekend air flights and hotel rates and whatever else is just that much more. But, that's okay. We'll make it work again.
Next time.
Exactly. Next time.
Yes.
But no, I want to commend you on a wonderful shop. And like I said, if anybody is in the Palm Coast area, if you're in Florida, it's not a far drive, depending upon where you're at. I mean, let's put it that way. I learned my lesson with Renee, but if you're in the Florida area and you're looking for a nice weekend, go on up, check out St. Augustine, check out Palm Coast, check out Ashenale. And, if you're traveling down, you're looking for someplace, if you're looking for someplace to go and vacation, that is, not your typical vacation spot, I would say.
It's it's very quiet. Flagler is one of the last cities in I would almost say in America, but I know one or two in California that are true beach communities.
Yeah.
No chain restaurants, no anything like that, but just small mom and pop shops. Great shopping, just a great personality and atmosphere. Just a great place to come visit.
For sure.
It's a great place
that's
just to relax.
That's the thing, if you're not from Florida or, whatnot, and you think about traveling to Florida, obviously you think about Miami, Tampa, Orlando, and maybe the Destin area. And, but seriously, guys, consider checking out that part of the state, because there's some fantastic stuff. And just the history in St. Augustine. If you're a history buff, I mean, St. Augustine is like your town.
Yeah, you got a pretty unique time to be here too when they discovered that boat. So
yes, you were talking about that.
Yeah, they found an old ship. They were doing some construction work, and they found an old ship that they in the ground that they were digging up, and they're still working on excavating that. And then now it's somewhere between I think they said 1860 and 1890 that boat was there from.
That's crazy. That's just crazy.
So things like that just you're just like, wow.
It's a really cool area, and you guys will not regret taking some time and going over there.
And we have pretty good beaches too.
Fantastic. I mean, we didn't really get out on the beach. We just kind of like looked at the beach, but that's okay. Sand in my toes. It's kind of one of those like weird little sensory things. I'm not the biggest fan of the sand in the toes, so it's all right. It tends to follow me home.
Yeah. I gotta say, this cigar was very, very nice, though. The flavor, the finish, everything on this has been extremely nice.
I am obviously done with my dedication. You're down to the last little bit there.
Yep. I'm actually just now putting it down because I'm about to burn my fingers.
Fantastic flavor on it. It ramped up in strength a little bit near the end, but that's what you'd expect. And I mean, it's an all around great smoke. I really do enjoy that offering from All Saints. So.
Guys, if you're in the area, please come see me. I'd love to meet you. Love to hear
there you go.
You listen to the podcast and everything. So we've got several of our members that hang out on a daily basis that do watch the podcast. So please come down, be part of the family.
There you go. All right. Well, Ken, I'm going to let you get to your evening. Thank you so much for everything. It was an absolute pleasure.
Our pleasure. We really appreciated you guys coming down and enjoying your time and being able to help make you have a great weekend.
Appreciate it.
Several days, rather.
Several days. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. It was practically a weekend. We'll just call it that. Well, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick.
I'm Ken.
Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. Now it's music time.
Good time because I just ran out of my drink and a cigar.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.